Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Loud and Proud Orlando, Monday, January the 26th, 6:35 p.m. Thank you so much for your support. About 10 people live right now. We are coming to you live. I'm here with David and with John today. We're going to be discussing a lot of topics. It's a full pot today, so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be discussing the first L of the year. I mean, clearly it kind of doesn't count, but it's Saturday's Lexington scrimmage. We'll also be discussing the center back situation, some stuff that we've picked up along the interwebs, and some sources coming from Janssen's status. Also, Dusan Stojinovic also is going to be possibly new signing for the Lions. Iago Teodoro as well, his update coming from Brazil. Also, already the players are probably watching us from Mexico, right? So, guys, you guys probably, drinking a lot of Gatorade in Mexico. Also, preseason predictions. CYLE LARIN, would you bring him back? Or would you bring somebody else back in purple? We'll discuss all of that and more as well. Facundo Torres with his left foot is his weapon as well. I think his right foot not so much. Going back to Austin, and Rafa Santos being a troubadour in the MLS now. He's like a nomad. He's going to St. Louis. He's going to be wearing that beautiful neon pink salmon jersey. So kudos to him, and stay tuned. I'm here with David and with John. How are you, John? Good to see you, my friend.
I'm good, man. Yeah, I got to go to see the Lexington game. It's a bit of preseason action, which I wasn't expecting so soon. So that was really cool. Yeah, just more preseason. I just want the season to start, man. I'm itching. I want to see these guys, really get going.
What's up, David? How are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I did not get a chance to go to the preseason match, but I want to shout out John and a couple other people who sent me some clips and some observations, and then somebody who was so gracious enough to send me basically the entire first half. So,
Oh, wow.
kudos to that person. I'll keep them under lock and key there. I do want to give two quick shout outs before we get started. I want to shout out our good viewer Landon, who posted a lot of good stuff during the scrimmage. He was doing an awesome job that day. And then I want to shout out Orlando City social media guy Connor Martin, who just got engaged this week. So congratulations, my friend. What a great adventure for you. All the best to you and your fiance, of course.
I'm gonna freak Connor out right now. Connor, I saw you on Church Street taking pictures, and I'm waiting for you to post them, and then I will post the picture I have of you taking the pictures, just to really mess with your head. So get ready for that.
Yeah, we're going to be reading your comments as well. Thank you for your support. We have one comment, Donnie Moore. This is what's up, guys? Loving the regular casts. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it, Mr. Donnie. Thank you for your support. But yeah, let's go and jump into what happened in Lexington. You know what I mean? Against Lexington, not in Lexington, but we had a Lexington fan in one of the Facebook groups who decided to troll me. I'm a little butthurt about it. I'll be honest. He said, "Look at this crest." And he took a picture of himself with a Lexington hoodie. And I said, "Well, look at this crest." And I put the MLS logo. I don't know if I was too cruel, but it's okay. But I mean, I know kudos to John, because John actually went there. Thank you to the ILF, because they invited us to come over, to everybody there at the ILF. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I had my godson had his birthday that day, so I already was committed to that. I couldn't miss it for the world, but I know John was there. And also, you could check out David's full report right here on our website, loudandproudorlando.com. It's there for your viewing pleasure. But I want to drop it off to John. John, I don't know if you want to start kind of talking about what you saw kind of coming from the outside looking in, the crowds, how was everything set up? Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it was something we've seen before, kind of like a preseason game down at OHB with like the supporters there. They have done that in the past. Sometimes it's been for season ticket members, but this one was just for the supporter group. So you had the Ruckus and the ILF out there. It was, as expected, 45 minutes. I expected them to go like 30 minutes. Honestly, I thought that was interesting. They did a full 45, but they completely changed the whole team for, the first half and the second half. It was really just about getting legs, going and getting that first preseason game without any injuries, which I don't think there were any injuries. So that's good. And it was just, a good mix of OCB guys and first teamers. Really, I mean, you could take the scoreline as a 2-1 if you want, but it's a scrimmage, so I don't really count it as a real game. Not only that, we had a red card and we just played on with 11 men. Like they just brought on Alex Freeman to replace the red carded Jalen Yearwood, and we just carried on as if we had the same amount of men on the field. So, not a real game, in my opinion. I don't take too much stock in preseason, but it was good to see some guys out there, especially Wilder in the first half. He looked, Wilder in the second half. It was great to see him out there. I can't remember which half he played, but him
second half.
Him and Ojeda, they look like a good pairing together. That was really cool to see. Iago got some looks. A lot of it, great chances really fell to Harvey. And he had hit the post, like he hit the crossbar and he hit the post in the second half. So Harvey was making some good moves, but then he just wasn't able to get that final finish on the goal. So it was interesting to see some of the new guys, some of the guys coming back from injury, just a real mix out there. And just really trying to learn faces and, see who's looking strong and who's looking healthy and who maybe surprises us. But honestly, it's just preseason. It's just a run around, a scrimmage. So I don't think we should take too much stock in anything that really happens in this game in terms of the result. It's just really about finding those legs and connections and, getting those first preseason minutes underway.
Orlando City lost against Lex. That's how they call themselves. Not Lex Luthor, just Lex. In a scrimmage at OHB. And definitely they celebrated as if they won a playoff game. Kind of reminded me when we used to beat, we were in USL, used to beat like MLS teams or teams from Europe. Obviously, looking at this first half lineup, I can certainly tell Carvalho definitely is going to be on the right wing. Spicer shows us to be the starter on the left. And then Iago playing he's played maybe 3 or 4 games as a center forward in Bahia. He's more of like a winger though. And then in the back, you have, everybody's favorite, Marin, Miller with Brecalo, and then which is in full. It seems like he's in full. He's fully healthy, and then Yearwood, which unfortunately got a red, and then obviously homegrown Kolinguski right there with Atuesta. Obviously Harvey had a lot of the touches I see, as per the report here. David, what are your thoughts on some of the things that you might have analyzed out of this report? And did you like certainly the team has some versatility, but this is the time in which I feel the club has the chances, especially tactically, to move around and to play around freely without, the points hanging on the line, right? So if there is a time to experiment and do crazy stuff, it's around these scrimmages. So what are your thoughts on this L by the Lions against Lexington?
Yeah, so I'll double down with what John said. Please don't look into the result. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on social media, on Facebook and on Reddit and on Twitter. Oh my God, we lost to Lexington. The world is coming to an end. Guys, stop. It's the first preseason game. By the time we played the scrimmage, the guys only had 10 days together. So let's move past that. What I care more about is, are guys getting in the right spots? Are they gelling with other guys? is the club testing different guys in different spots or different formations? Clearly, they did not try a different formation. Like I said, I was able to watch most of the first half. So really the first half is where I have most of my knowledge, and then a couple of clips and different stuff mixed in. What I will say is this. I love that Harvey is getting in the right spots at the right time. Yes, he wasn't able to finish. That stinks. But the first thing that you want to see from a 10 or a striker or whatever that is that they're popping up in the right spots, right? And one of the things that we've talked about with Harvey the last couple weeks is, can he raise his level to the level of not only MLS, but also be able to cerebrally be in the right spot at the right time? And based on what I saw in the first half, and based on sort of the reporting that John and other folks were able to give me about the second half, he seemed to be in the right spot at the right time. He was unfortunate to not finish any of them, of course, but that's what you expect, especially against the level of competition that we're talking about here, right? To take it a step further, like Luis said, Iago hasn't played a ton of minutes, especially with the senior Bahia team at striker. He did play a decent amount of minutes as a second striker with Bahia's U20 team, and so he's had some looks there. The problem with Iago playing striker is he needs service. And from what I saw in the first half, he wasn't getting a lot of it, and he wasn't put in moments where he could get a lot of that service. So I'm not going to fault him too much. I'd rather see him on the wings and see what he can really do out there. I think that's really sort of the best spot for him. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. I do want to give Marin his flowers. He looked pretty serviceable in that first half from what I saw. So I want to give the guy credit because a lot of us have been really down on the guy. So if he can come into preseason and look solid, then that's awesome for us. That's a great thing. Brekalo looked healthy. I want to give a shout out to another college draft pick in Nolan Miller. The guy played 60 minutes of the preseason game. He looked real solid. Honestly, didn't look like he was out of place for all the time that I saw him play. So that's really awesome, and I think that bodes well for him, of course, going further in the future. The other guy I want to talk about is Yearwood. I feel bad for the kid. He got a red card. I know it wasn't a great tackle. I was actually able to see the tackle. It's tough. Like, I get it. He's trying to make a name for himself as well. I don't think he should dog himself too much on it. He really was just trying to defend for the team and kind of be there and all that kind of stuff. And he looked pretty solid up until that point, especially getting forward. He really seemed to be getting involved. So I think that's really awesome. I got to touch on Otero a little bit. I thought he was good, not great. The goal happens because he spills it a little bit, and I don't love that. We've got the video on the article here that's going to kind of show you that. This was the typical Galese sort of parry it right back into traffic kind of parry. So I don't love that part of it. So we got to be careful with that. That's going to put you in trouble every single time. So that was the thing we were worried about with Otero, right? We weren't sure if he was ready with some of these moments. And so this is sort of a ding against the guy, unfortunately, of like, you put yourself in a bad situation. It ended up in a really sloppy place, and it ends up going in. I know the free kick's tough to read and all that, but he makes the good initial first read, but he's not able to kind of clean up the second part. So a little tough there. But yeah, all in all, first half, pretty solid from the boys, considering even like going into the half down, 1-0 and whatnot. So, you take it for what it is. And then in the second half, we get sort of like a fully rotated squad. Most of the people changed. Initially, my reporting was a little bit off in terms of who was playing in the central defense, but you really get a nice swap. Crepeau gets his first minutes in the second half, which is really awesome. Freeman, of course, gets in because Yearwood ends up getting the red card. Titus Sandy Jr., draft pick from last year. Maybe a lot of folks don't know about him. He actually slid into the middle and played next to Miller until Miller was eventually subbed out at the 60-minute mark. So he slides in, and then Taifi plays left back, which is not Taifi's normal old natural position, but he did play there. I thought from what I saw from him, he was pretty serviceable there, pretty quick. Everything I saw from Taifi, he was pretty quick, pretty fluid, all that kind of stuff. And then, like John said, that middle pairing, chef's kiss from everything I saw. Cartagena and Brian Ojeda look the real deal with that pairing, and to me, that's my choice for opening day pairing right now. I think they play off each other well. They've got great chemistry there, and then of course, great to see Big Dunk get the PK goal and put it in the net. We want to start getting him scoring now. We want to start getting him into the rhythm of that. Besides that, based on the other things I saw, I thought he was okay, honestly, with the other stuff. But really want to get Big Dunk going and kind of giving him an opportunity to really do that. And then I want to give one last shout out to Issa Haruna, who played like sort of a right wing in this game. He's played a lot of different positions in college, but he played right wing in this game. I want to give a shout out to the young kid because it's not easy going in there and kind of making an impression. He looked shifty. He looked quick based on the things I saw. So just really nice stuff there. The young guys really did, I think, a nice job in this game, considering how much time we gave them to play and what to work for. But I think really my sort of star of the match, if you want to say it, is Harvey. I think by far he played a lot of minutes. He was up in some good places. He made some good movements. So shout out to our guy Harvey, who also is celebrating his birthday today. So I want to shout out Harvey. Happy birthday to him, of course. But I thought he was my star sort of a scrimmage, if you're willing to even go that far and give a star of the scrimmage. So there you go.
Happy birthday to Harvey. Obviously, when you look at the second half and you look at the lineup, this seems more like Oscar Pereira kind of lineup. And it kind of has some of the pieces he's going to probably have as a starter. And I know people see Angulo there and start already flinching. So Oscar is probably thinking of putting Angulo as a starter as well. Now you having Angulo, you having Maguire, you having Cartagena and Ojeda. Definitely he wanted to try that out. Also Taifi, because he's kept fit even in the off season, even during the holidays. He was doing like these Metcon type of workouts with Alex Freeman, and then obviously you put your star Alex Freeman right there on the wing, and then Crepeau, right? So he had to have some minutes. So anything you want to mention, John, of the second half? How do you find this second half of Orlando City? Obviously, the club posted, made this whole big deal about, Dunk scoring of a penalty kick, and then people were just creaming them online how you post, why do we care about a penalty kick? So what are your thoughts about all of that?
I think David said a lot of good points, which I agree with. I think a few kind of guys I want to pick out. I want to double down on the Taifi thing. I feel like he really impressed me at left back. I think he shows that he could definitely do that, to the point where I think Marin, yes, and again I agree on that, did do well in the first half. But if Marin's not there, I think Taifi might be the next best option at left back at the moment. Based on what I saw, like he looks as comfortable as he does at right back at left back. And I think he's a guy that is going to take that next step this year. And I think that like everything that he's done in off season, he just really looks like he's ready and mature. And he knows that, okay, I got to do what I got to do. And if he can fill in at left back, there's a slot there potentially. So that might be kind of like how Dagger Dan got minutes because he was able to play a position. A similar thing for Taifi. If there's no one playing left back, if we didn't see a few other guys there, like we didn't see Reed Brown, we didn't see Sukada, we didn't see Marco Pasalic, we didn't see Jansen. Anyone else I'm missing, David?
No, I think those are the big ones that I can remember.
Those are the big ones. I saw Gerard Bay and Luis Otavio in the stands watching. So they were there, but not, obviously Gerard.
Oh, no, Mitch Ferguson. So he was the only draft pick that didn't get on the field.
No, Mitch Ferguson. I do think I want to pick out Miller as well. Miller played both halves and looked him when it was him and Brecalo in the first half. They looked very comfortable together. That whole kind of back line, I think, with even Jalen Yearwood did look good at times going forward with them. Obviously, he had the red card, so he wasn't a perfect performance for him. But that first half back line looked pretty solid. The second half back line, I think you could see on that second goal from Lexington, there was a real mess there. The only issue I had with
at that point they were moving everybody around, I think.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's a real smorgasbord of a line, mixed up back line. So I'm not mad about it. I do think there was some miscommunication with Crepeau coming off his line and them, and that I don't love to see that. I want Crepeau
because Taifi went inside, I think, on that goal. I think he was like a center back on that play.
He was moved to the center back, and then he would come on. Bernardo Ryan had come on later in the second half to play left back. So you had him at left back. So it is what it is. But I think Crepeau needs to maybe. I didn't love what I saw from him as the first couple, looks. I think
probably had a lot of turkey.
disorganization there. I'm going to blame that, but I want to see him take charge of the back line and be communicative and
Well,
say,
I want
that's
to
my
I want to
ball or
see him
it's
with the
not.
first. I want to see him with the first team back line because I don't
Yes,
want to put too much
exactly.
on it, like with
Yeah,
these guys and stuff. Because not only is he trying to have to do his position, he's trying to coach these guys at the
for
same time,
sure.
and that's not an easy task to like take care of and whatnot. I think it would have been a better barometer if he had started the first half with like the back line that he had. If he had Brekalo and Miller and Yearwood and Marin, that might have been a better sort of understanding of like, okay, does Crepeau have it? Is he
Yeah.
figuring it out? But also, it's going to take him time to get chemistry with these guys, right? Pedro Galese was around for a while, so he was able to build that sort of institutional relationship and familiarity and stuff like that. So let's wait and see on Crepeau. I don't want
Oh,
to
for
dog the
sure.
guy too bad,
No.
but
I just noticed when he came off his line, he didn't get the ball. That's all I'm saying. So that's
fair.
the kind of
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
I don't like to see. You know,
No,
I
we're gonna
want
read
him
some comments real
to get
quick
that ball.
here. We're gonna read some comments real quick here, and then we're gonna go into some breaking news. It says here, buenas noches, JCB says, counting down the days to the start of the new season. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey says, Lucas Paqueta would have been a good DP for OC. John Cena had Randy Orton. Ojeda needs someone to complement his talent. Well, I mean, that's a good analogy. Yeah, I mean, I think Lucas Paqueta would have been great, but I don't know. I mean, don't they play? Does he play the 10 as well? You know, he plays the 10. He could play the 10, and also he can play like maybe as a 5. I don't know, but yeah, good idea. Landon says Yearwood looked pretty good up until the red. There you go. Mikey D789. Honestly, I'm more worried about a striker going into the season. We have info about that too, about somebody possibly joining the striker lineup for the Lions. Foxy Arrow says preseason is all about fitness, not results. 100% agree on. Do you guys agree? I agree too. I mean, these guys went, had a couple of brewskis, I'm sure, at home with the fam. You know, they went and had some, delicious food for the holidays. Probably hang out with a girlfriend, watch a lot of movies. Just not really worried. Obviously some of them put some of the work, off. Some others, are with the family and they just, it's all about getting back in shape, getting back in track and fast. I watched Iago a lot with Bahia Youth. It always impressed me, mostly left wing. He never really got a run of games with the first team in team starts. MLS is a good move for him, says Foxy Hero. Thank you so much. Landing 21-24. Angulo can start off with Spicer. Ruben Perez, anything but Angulo. Best defender winger in the world. There you go. Ojeda 10. Ojeda 10 didn't play, says Landon.
Right.
Yep. And Jeffrey
He did
Thiago
not,
left
true.
wing, Spicer left back, and Angulo on the bench. Frankie Cosmos. It says here, being real, y'all, switching over to the Loud and Proud Lexington pod. There you go. Thank you.
Come on, Frankie. Can't
Come
do that to
on.
us. Jesus.
You can't do that to us, man. But either
Are
way,
they stealing our name? I gotta file a suit.
Loud and Proud. It's called Loud and Proud Lex.
Wait, is it actually?
Yeah.
There's a Loud and Proud Lexington?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious.
LPL, baby.
LPOX. Yeah, LPOX.
Oh, man.
So we got some breaking news. There you go. So it's a perfect segue for what's coming next. So clearly, I don't know, you want to take it away, David? I know that you have some info. I know the plane already took off to go to Mexico, and there's a couple of players that did not make the plane. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so we'll start with the pretty obvious one. If you were at the Lexington scrimmage, you probably saw it. Robin Jansson did not play in the Lexington scrimmage. From what we understand, he did not dress. According to multiple sources that I've talked to, unfortunately, Robin Jansson is injured right now. His knock is considered pretty, I wouldn't say severe, but pretty serious. And apparently it was serious enough for him to not make the trip to Mexico, based on what I've heard from some sources there. So very discouraging news, of course, about our captain, especially discouraging because of how he ended the season last year, where we know he played through an injury to try to help us move on in the playoffs and things like that. What I think this really connects to all of it is it really connects to sort of the rumors that we've been hearing as an uptick for center backs, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think there might be some connection there. I know a lot of fans were mixed on whether or not Jansson should come back this season. I know some fans were saying, hey,
Yeah,
he's over the hill, it's time for him to go.
I was
I
one of
was a
them.
proponent of the 1+1. I wanted to sign him for a year, potentially get him an option year. But yeah, just really sad news. Of course, if we end up getting that, we haven't heard anything official from the club, but based on what we've heard from different various sources, unfortunately, Robin Jansson is injured. The second center back we want to talk about, Mitch Ferguson, also did not play in the preseason scrimmage against Lexington. From what we understand, he was not registered either for that game. We have heard from a few sources that Mitch may not be training with Orlando City for much longer. We're not entirely sure what that reason might be, but we have heard news that he did not travel to Mexico with the team, and then also that he may or may not be training with the team when they get back. So we'll have to see what that looks like. But honestly, very, very sad news, of course, on both fronts, especially for a center back core that's already not super deep as it is. So hopefully these rumors, of course, that have popped up lately can help us out with that. And then obviously, thankfully, Miller had a really nice scrimmage, the first scrimmage, because sounds like we're going to need every body at this point.
So it makes kind of sense, kind of taking what David said to go to John. I know you guys have been looking at our post about news about Iago Teodoro from Flamengo coming up, and then also Dusan Stojinovic from Jagiellonia. So it just kind of makes sense. You probably haven't heard a lot of buzz about strikers, and I understand people. I mean, now hearing about what David said about the sources he has about the Jansson injury, which we try to get confirmation from the club. We really didn't get any confirmation from the club. I asked, and no confirmation, no comment. So that makes sense why they're trying to go and for a Dusan Stojinovic that plays two positions. He plays right back and center back. And also, I have a feeling they're going to probably sign Miller, and they're probably going to go for that other kid, Iago. So, I mean, and one thing that I'm a little down is I think they're going to hold on the DP, and I really hope they're not trying to force, one of the wingers that we got, or the young wingers that we got, like, for example, Iago, to play center forward. I don't think it'll suit him. I would hate also for, Harvey to play center forward, even though I know he can play it. I just think it's cool to have versatility and be versatile and have multiple positions, but, not at the beginning of the season, right? I think it would be better if we see Thiago at his full potential on the wing, what we're supposed to do, where he excelled the most, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on those news, John? What David just broke out, and how would that affect signing new players?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all tracks, right? I mean, if we don't know what the situation is with Jansson, but obviously he's not started preseason, so that's not good. And he's not gone to Mexico, so that's not good. So it's clear that we need to figure that out. I want to see David Brecalo play there. Obviously, he didn't a lot last year. I think he's kind of a nailed-on starter for me. And then you really need another guy, but I want to get to the point where we have several good center back options. I think for the last, I don't know, I've said it for like the last 3 years that we've been light in center back. It's been a weakness of ours for years where we've had like two good center backs. I mean, last season we had Brecalo out there in every game at the same time as we had Jansson and Schlegel and basically no center backs on the bench. So I think to have a good core of center backs is really important for us. So I think it's great if we're going to go after Dusan. Great if we're going to go after Iago. I think Miller looked really good. So if we've got them and Brecalo, then we don't really need Jansson for a good while. Not that I don't think he's a good player, but we definitely don't want to rely on Jansson nearly as much as we have in other years. And I think that's reflected in his contract change, right? When he came back, I'm sure he signed for less money. in which case he's expecting to play less. Sad if he's injured, but I really think that I'm excited to see a new center back pairing for 2026, like a new first team center back pairing that's going to be out there week in, week out. So, David, you want to give us the latest on what's going on with Dusan and Iago?
Yeah, so for those of you that maybe don't really know who Dusan is, and this rumor kind of came out of nowhere a couple of days ago, so really interesting kind of rumor to connect it all in. So Dusan plays in the Polish league. He's Slovenian, but he plays in the Polish league, and he's actually a pretty interesting center back sort of prospect and sort of where he came from. So when he first started, he did play for a couple of clubs in his home country of Slovenia. And he came up through the academy there for a little bit, switched to a couple clubs, and then made the jump over to Poland not too far into his sort of early career as he's looking for time and things like that. As he came up, though, sort of as Luis already said, he not only played as a center back, but he also played as a right back. He's also had a little bit of time at left back as well, based on some folks that I've talked to. They shared that with me as well. So he is very versatile across the back line. So that's really, really good for us and obviously very interesting. There's one of my favorite charts from Y Scout. We shared one of these last week when we were talking about Harvey. But a lot of good stuff on this chart as well. As you can see, a lot of green and things like this. I think the best sort of comparison, because I'm actually working on a piece right now that's going to drop on the LPO website sometime this week. I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm doing a total breakdown of sort of who Dusan is and what his playing style is like. But based on the numbers I've broken down so far, and this chart's going to kind of show it to us as well, think a nice combo between Brekalo and Jansson. And by that, I mean, Dusan can really play with the ball at his feet. He's a good distributor. He can distribute long. He can distribute short. But the other thing that he has that sort of Brekalo has a little bit more is he can handle the ball well. He can progress the ball well, as you can kind of see on this chart. There's a lot of green sort of in that section with ball progression and things like that. And then also on top of it, he is a good to great defender, and I put that in that range because sometimes he has his moments where it's not as good. However, his aerial ability has been statistically better than both Robin Jansson and David Brekalo, which is good for us because aerially we've been challenged, obviously, over the last couple of seasons of really trying to find someone who can really dominate in the air and kind of help us out with that. So he does a little bit better at that. There are some detractors, as you can see on here. He's not blocking a lot of shots. He's not blocking a lot of passes. You're not too concerned about that because it really just depends on how his club plays and sets up their defense. So I don't want to read too much into what that looks like and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't get carded all too often. I know on this chart he's in the bottom sort of part of the chart, like well below average. He only had 3 yellow cards last season. I don't know, compared to the rest of his league, if that's a lot or it's not. I didn't get a chance to really dig that far into it yet, but he only got 3 yellow cards, so that's less than the rest of our defenders were really getting last season. And in MLS terms, he wouldn't have been suspended for accumulation, so I guess you have a plus there with all that kind of stuff. But all in all, he's a nice defender. He's a solid guy who's going to come in. Like I said, he's going to give you a nice mix between David Brekalo and sort of Robin Jansson. My only big question for him is I just don't know where he necessarily fits in right away. That's not to say he can't come in and he can't compete and he can't come in and grab one of the spots or something like that. I just don't know, like nothing wows me off the page, right? Like nothing comes out and says like, okay, he has to start for this reason. He's got a lot of good stats, no doubt about that. But when you look at his play and you look at sort of like his stats mixed together, there's nothing that really screams like, oh my God, we need to get this guy into the starting lineup. Now, do I eventually think he's probably a starter? Yes. But do I think he walks in day one and is able to do that, especially with a sort of abridged preseason? That I don't know, and I think it all depends on how healthy Jansson is. If we bring Iago into the conversation, though, I think that's where you see the true competition, sort of what John was talking about. We really get competition between a guy who's been playing at a top level in Poland and in Slovenia, and you get a kid who's been playing in the top academies in South America and things like that, and you really kind of let them duke it out and figure it out that way. But before we move on to Iago and that sort of saga, I did want to just give a little bit more information about Dusan. So the latest we've heard about Dusan is he is agreeable to the deal. So he is interested in the deal and is interested in coming to Orlando. Really, at this point, actually, I believe this morning we got the latest breaking news out of the Polish league there. But
Right.
as of this morning, the club, our club says they obviously really want to make it happen. There are some, according to sources, some players within Orlando City that are really excited for this move. I'll let you connect the dots. I'm sure you can figure out who might be excited about that move. Maybe his fellow Slovenian. I don't know, something there. But also, the biggest thing that sort of intrigues Dusan about this move is that the wage number will be much better for him. So based on the data I was able to find, he's sitting on around 150,000. I believe it's euros, but either way, he's only about 150,000. So Orlando City could easily like double that and not have a problem and really pay the guy, a sizable sort of increase on the wage. So really at this point, the clubs are kind of closing the gap and kind of seeing what that looks like. I believe the reported fee was 1.5 million euros, if I'm not mistaken, with some incentives and potentially some sell on there. So you'll see some of that. But yeah, kind of a uniquely exciting prospect. Not a guy you expected Orlando City to necessarily maybe go after, because the Polish league I don't think is heavily scouted like that, especially with defenders and things like that. But a really interesting prospect, and it'd be really interesting to see what he looks like when he comes in the door for sure.
Yeah, and to tie that up, also let's talk about Iago. So the latest, for what I've heard from Brazilian media, is that Flamengo is keen to close this as soon as possible. I don't know. I will have to find out tomorrow. How's that looking like? If they already made that decision, they said they were supposed to have a meeting this afternoon about this. The president of Flamengo is on board, and it's just pretty much they just got to get together, all the board members, and just kind of decide on this. Flamengo wants to part ways, even though the fandom is a little upset about this move because they really feel for this kid. It's like kind of like they're in the same situation we are with Alex Freeman in a way, this, even though he had a little bit of less minutes than obviously Freeman with Orlando, but they feel kind of the same way. This is like their possibly, a possible captain of their team at some point. You know what I mean? So somebody that came from their Flamengo academy, a very world champion, Copa Libertadores champion, Continental Cup, all of that. So the contract reality is that if they don't pull the plug now, he's going to walk on a free in July. That's 110%. Even his rep already said it. His agent said it. Flamengo, what they're going to get more than likely from Orlando, it's either a significant amount of a future move to Europe for him. So kind of like a percentage clause. But that's going to lower what Orlando's going to pay for the player. So, so they're working on that. And also the coach, which is Tite, which everybody here in Orlando wanted him as the coach of Orlando for some reason, even though the man doesn't speak English whatsoever. Obviously, there's no room at all for him. He already told the front office, the kid's going to have, probably if my two center backs get injured or a broken tibia, then maybe I make him rotate at that time. So pretty much he didn't kind of like what Tite said. He told his representative, his agent, hey, look for me for another team. And that's what he has done. So, and the Orlando City offer comes in a good time for him. He sees it as a kind of like a move that's not going to be a permanent move into the MLS, but this is a move that's going to definitely make him grow, have more minutes, be seen in a different league, in a different kind of environment that he's able to possibly thrive. From what I've been told by sources there is that he's aware of the center back history and the Brazilian history of Orlando City with Brazilians. He knows Antonio Carlos, not personally, but he's playing against him. He knows about, former Kaká playing in Orlando. So He's very well informed and watches a lot of news of Orlando, so he's keeping in touch in a way. So this is possibly going to become a reality, hopefully by the next few days. I don't know if the club's going to announce it right away, but I mean, definitely is moving towards that direction, which it's a great move, man. I mean, this is it's like getting a top tier center back, like a Thiago Silva in the beginnings of his career. You know what I mean? I think who would have not want to have a young Thiago Silva, or in their club, So I think I'll be okay if he gets signed with the other kid Dusan. I think it'd be great. But again, it kind of makes sense now why they're kind of going into more of like the defensive role because of Jansson being injured. It says here, with all the gam the team has banked up, it's nice to see the finally do son with it. There you go, Frankie. Thank you. Copacetic Buddha says, I'm willing to see Jansson go at this point. He's slow down and he's too injury prone. I like the guy, but I'm ready to see new blood. Me too, my friend. Sad Viking noises, hopefully not in the same ankle. It says, Donnie, right here. Love to hear you guys speculate about what's the latest Alex Freeman situation. I'm going to go about that next. I'm going to talk to John about that real quick. Let's get to those center backs. ASAP, says Josh Stahl. So, John, I got a message today from a reporter from Bournemouth, that covers Bournemouth, and he asked me about the situation of Alex Freeman. And I said, what do you know? What are they saying over there? Is he going to Bournemouth or what? Or Bournemouth or whatever you call it.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, yeah.
Bournemouth. There you go. So
it's spelled Bournemouth.
So he said, hey, do you know anything about this? And so some kid, some kid that it's just a kid. I mean, it puts the vaguest tweet I've ever seen. He writes, apparently there's a few teams in Europe that have asked about Alex Freeman, but no bids to Orlando City. Now, in his same tweet, he's like,
that's such a nothing statement.
Yeah, no, but he writes like in his same like tweet. He like in his same X. He writes, F this, F that, S this, and so I told the kid, the guy from Bournemouth, I was like, this guy, if there's a reporter that has that type of language online, more than likely, bro, it's really not a reliable source. Like, it's probably not. So I probably wouldn't. Now, I haven't heard anything about Alex Freeman. What I know about Alex Freeman is that the club is definitely trying to throw absolutely everything they can to him. Now, the ball is in his court. He decides at the moment he has not accepted absolutely nothing the club is throwing at him. Just be ready for him to walk on the free. That's the way I see it.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Ricardo knows we have until June 30th to get him a deal, and I think the World Cup will be going on. So if it's not gonna happen, if he really wants to leave, I think Ricardo will make a deal to sell him before it hits that 6-month window, is my suspicion, because I just think that he's the kind of guy that knows that we have to get something out of Alex, right? So if Alex doesn't want to sign a new deal and he definitely wants to leave, then I think we will make a deal, because everybody is going to know that he's 6 months out and is on a free, right? So then it becomes, who really wants him? Okay, pony up the money and we'll sell him to you in the summer, and you get him first, instead of everybody just bidding on his contract when he hits that 6 months away from being open. So that's the way I see it. I think we'd be silly to let him go on a free. If he really wants to go, we still have time. Like I said, until June 30th, we have time to make a deal.
Well,
David,
kind
David,
of.
what do you got?
I would say before the U.S. does their tune-up matches, that's probably about the time you need to get something done. Because I don't know how much he'll be with Orlando after that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he'll
Now,
probably be
now
focused on
we
World
Oh, you
also,
Cup
mean
and all
before he
that.
goes to the World Cup window?
Yeah.
But
Like
you
when
can
they get
still
those
sell
tune-up
him while he's
matches
not
and
in
like
the club. Like that's happened during the World Cup.
Yeah.
Players have been sold.
no, for sure. But I think with us knowing Alex enough, I think he's going to want to focus
Yeah,
on the World
I
Cup at
can
that
see that.
point. So I don't know that he's going to really want to have those conversations like as he's at the World Cup. You know what I mean? Like I think he'd rather probably get it tidied up before all that happens.
But also that is the biggest window, right? That's the shopping window
No, for
that
sure.
everybody
No,
wants to be in.
absolutely,
So
for
that's
sure.
why I think that.
he
But Luis, what do you think?
he needs to maintain himself healthy. And
Yeah.
that also, and again, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want to be like, telling you guys something, just selling you smoke or anything like that. But he may not give 120%. He may want to give a solid 90 and ride with it. No, I've been in this game for a long time, man.
Yeah, but I don't think
he can't get injured. Otherwise, he's gonna lose his worth.
Sure, but I don't think he can be. I don't think he can let his foot off the gas that much because I mean, this is a World Cup squad that we've seen so far that it's been super cutthroat.
We will see in the first game of the season against New York Red Bulls, and you can definitely tell at that point, because it has happened before. And again, it's part of the business. It's nothing personal. In nothing that Freeman is doing wrong. Nothing that I think maybe the club should have offered him a contract sooner, but they probably didn't think it was going to pan out this way, this fast. And I think that's probably on the club, at that point, in my opinion. But I think that can happen too. Also, I don't agree with throwing a DP money. I don't agree of throwing Muriel money. I mean, it's easy to talk when it's not your money.
Frankie, you say that, but you try to sell the fans on a DP right back, they will murder you. They will come for you.
No one has that.
Nah, I love it, but no.
Well, here's the other thing, and I know Frankie can probably correct me because I know Frankie's our resident MLS rules expert. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the rules changed where you can change your roster build like mid-season now. You used to have to pick it for the entire season, but now I think you're allowed to swap it in the second window. Frankie, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's correct. So if that's the case,
no, you can. You can move from the two models mid-season.
Okay, that's what I thought. So my thought is that you could, because everyone's like, oh, well, we'd be out of a U22 spot if we sign Iago. But if you switch to the model with 2 DPs and 4 U22s, get Freeman on the model, you get yourself that extra $1 million in GAM, get Freeman on the model. I know we can only pay him max, like, what is it, like $1 million or something like that, but he'd be getting $1 million for like half a season.
A lot more than he's getting right now.
So that's fine. But then again, like sort of to Luis's point, you still need to convince him to either let us sell him mid-season, and at that point we'd get probably what Flamengo's getting. Maybe if we're lucky, a couple mil. Maybe we more so go for the big sell-on clause. Maybe that's what I would go for, depending on the clubs that are calling. Go for the big sell-on clause, so when he gets resold, we could get some more money out that. You might be able to sell clubs on that a little bit better. I mean, yeah, it hurts, right? Like we're hoping we would be able to get that big paycheck on him, like an Alphonso Davies type move, where like we could really cash in and do all that stuff. But unfortunately, and I'm sure the front office would say this, they dropped the ball a little bit on this. Like, yeah, sure, they didn't know he was going to emerge like this and really pop onto the scene.
Yeah.
But they dropped the ball. So, I mean,
100%.
it stinks. It
100%.
hurts. Like, don't get me wrong. But the next thing that we have to start thinking about is who's the right back that's going to replace Alex Freeman. Because you've got to start putting in your head that either in July, or at the end of the season, he's going to go. So you've got to have a replacement ready for him. So is it Taifi? Is it Yearwood? Is it somebody else that we don't even know about yet that we need to go out into the market and go grab? So like, these are all questions that sort of revolve around the Alex Freeman question and get a little bit complicated.
Yeah. Ruben Perez says Orlando should get a good deal money for Freeman.
Our leverage is gone though.
Yeah. I think our leverage is a little gone. I agree with that. I think we probably do what either John said, which is if he doesn't sign anything, we will sell him to. And again, we could get 5 million. Even though we think he's worth 10, we may
You
get
gotta hope
5,
his
and we might.
stock goes up and we sell him for more because it's the world. You know what I mean? That's my hope, is like
Right.
his stock will be high in the summer,
Right.
and like somebody's gonna want to pay for him to guarantee they get him. But yeah, losing him on a free would be a nightmare.
I
Yeah,
think realistically, you're looking somewhere between maybe 3 and 5 million, and if Orlando City can get a 20% sell-on clause, you're taking that. I think that's kind of the numbers that you're looking at if you're lucky, and that might be on the more positive end, but I think that's probably around the thing of it. By the way, speaking of numbers, Luis, about Iago, just real quick. Obviously, as we've talked about, like Flamengo doesn't really have a lot of options here, and they're kind of running out of choices. What I think is going to happen, and I talked about this on Twitter a little bit earlier. So our initial deal was for 3.5 million for him, and then we had a 15% sell-on clause. That was our offer. That was for us to beat Brentford, because I believe Brentford was the only other club to put in a bid for him. I could see if Flamengo wants a bigger sell-on fee, let's say they want 20% or 25%, I could see us going back to the table and saying, we'll give you 2.5. We'll give you 2.5 and a 20% sell on, and that's the deal we'll make because, again, he can sign anywhere he wants in June, right? So maybe that's what the number more so looks like. It's going to be a bigger sell on, but less for us to take on in front. And personally, no offense to Dusan or anything like that, I like Iago a little bit better. He's a more physical center back. Yes, he's a little bit more raw, but he's going to come in. He's going to be hungry to want to start because Flamengo really hasn't given him those opportunities to do that yet. And then on top of it, like I talked about last week, he can play the left and the right side. And if Jansson, let's say Jansson doesn't make opening day, or let's say Jansson isn't fit for a while, I feel good about an Iago and Brekalo center back pairing, honestly, based on what I've seen from Iago so far, and based on what the South American reporters have sort of shared with us and all that. For you guys that don't know, like, they're devastated they're losing this guy. Fans are pissed. Like, they are not happy at all that this guy is about to go for almost nothing, in their words, right? It's a similar situation to Luis Otavio. Internacional fans were losing their mind when they saw that the club was selling Otavio, but they needed to because they were so much in debt. They had to find ways to make money and all that stuff, and they were fighting a pretty nasty relegation battle in Brazil. Thankfully, they stayed up for them and everything, but like, that's going to be 2 steals for Orlando City in the offseason. I mean, Ricardo's cooking, guys. Bring out the meme because he's cooking.
That's right. Also, we're gonna be talking about real quick about, and we'll touch back again with some of the news. There's another news real quick about a new striker that may be joining. Again, it's on the works, but I don't know if you want me to break it or you want to break it, David.
Go ahead, Luis. It's all you.
Okay. So there is a rumor brewing from good sources that Mr. A good striker too. I mean, I think everybody knows, a good striker. What was his name, David? The striker?
I'd have to look at my notes. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry.
What was his name, John? You say it.
I don't know. I'm breaking news for me, guys. I am catching up for the day. I don't know what y'all on about.
The striker, man, the kid. He's in preseason right now.
What kid?
I'm giving you hints. I'm trying to play around, guys.
Okay, so guys, so apologies for this like weird round robin here.
There you go.
Based on some sources and based on what we've heard, as you guys may have known if you followed OCB for a while and Orlando City for a bit,
there you go.
Justin Ellis has eluded us in terms of signing a homegrown deal. Based on what we have heard as of late and as of recently with the preseason starting and all that kind of stuff, it sounds like Justin Ellis is more inclined to sign a homegrown deal than he has been this entire process.
It's happening.
So for those that don't really know the story, Justin Ellis, of course, has had a very storied academy career with Orlando City. He has done incredibly well in the academy at all the different levels. He's played up levels. He's done all kinds of things with the academy. He's done everything you want him to do, right? He had a really nice season with OCB last year. Not anything like chart topping, but like a really nice season for him last year. And so his agent and himself believed that there were going to be offers from teams in Europe and things like that because he wanted to make the jump to Europe. It looks like that's not necessarily panning out the way that they were hoping. And so Orlando City, throughout this entire process, has kept the option for him to sign a homegrown deal if he would like to sign a homegrown deal. And so now, based on what we've heard over the last couple of days, it sounds like he is more inclined to sign a homegrown deal now. I don't know if anything is imminent or anything like that. Obviously, he didn't
Right.
play against Lexington, so we didn't see him for that or anything like that. But I'm wondering if maybe after Mexico, we maybe hear some things and see that sort of announcement come out.
I think him being in Mexico, and obviously I was playing around, guys. I was trying to play around with the
I thought you were
suspect.
talking about a new striker. That's what I was.
Right.
He's already
But
here.
obviously, people know that if you watch LPO before, like we've been very like, where's Justin Ellis? Where's Justin Ellis? Where's Justin Ellis? And when we heard, because we broke the news before that, maybe things really weren't working out very well with him when it comes to renewing his contract, from God comes this news from Dave and everybody about the club working a deal with him. And I think it's going to be the best for him. I think, in my opinion, again, I'm not trying to be, in my opinion, I'm excited because this kid's super versatile as a 9. He can hit it with his head, with his both feet. I mean, the kid's it's a menace, and he also sets up the play very well. He's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but it's an upgrade to me, an upgraded version than Duncan when it comes to size, physicality, versatility. With to me, I feel like the kid has a lot of potential, and I'm just happy if he's since a homegrown and let's say he scores 10 goals in one season. Man, that kid's gonna be like another Alex Freeman type of level, like homegrown signing. And I mean, I think it's great for the club, to start, producing, that academy to start producing some fruit. You know what I mean? Because you can put a lot of money into the academy, but if it's not producing anything,
yeah. Well, it helps with
Freeman.
It helps with the depth problem that you talked about at the top of the show, right? I mean, the striker, the only pure out and out striker that we have right now is Duncan, right?
Duncan.
And so if you can get Justin Ellison here, and obviously if you watched a lot of OCB, and by the way, before I forget, Landon, thank you. If he did play a couple minutes, I apologize. That wasn't a slight towards him. I just didn't see it. But
did he come on for Harvey like late in the second half?
He may have.
Yeah, at one point I was like, is that Justin Ellis or is that Harvey? I can't tell.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is with OCB last year, Justin Ellis played a lot of 10 or second striker for OCB last year. So he did play a bit of a different position. I think at the top level, he's a striker. I don't think he plays as much 10. I mean, I bet he can do it in a pinch. But the fact that we have Harvey, I think, probably puts Harvey in that 10 spot, and it probably moves Justin Ellis further up the field. But to Luis's point earlier in the show, we need the depth. And I mean, I know this isn't like the DP Lukaku type striker that's going to come in and bang in 30 goals or whatever, right? But Justin Ellis could do you a job. And honestly, we need a 1-2 punch to start the season. And I don't know right now if we have that 1-2 punch, unless the club looks at Harvey and says, Harvey's that second punch, and maybe it's a 1-2-3 punch, right? And you have all 3 of these guys maybe contributing and whatnot. Because remember, guys, Harvey can play any of the front 3 as well, right? He can play striker, he can play left wing, he can play right wing, so he can play any of those spots. But listen, we've been talking about Justin Ellis for the longest time. We've been wanting to get him in for the longest time. So just really grateful that he's even at this point considering the opportunity for us to do all that. And I'm sure he also is down in Mexico living his best life over in Cancun.
For Jizzle, the club is in Mexico right now, in Mexico, in Cancun, hanging out, training hard. You can see there Brecalo riding some old school bikes with Marco Pasalic, right there doing some tricks. I think that's Harvey.
The truth. Yep.
Yeah, it was Harvey's birthday. You got Wilder Cartagena.
There was Ojeda and Ojeda riding together. It was
right?
Ojeda at one point. I saw that.
You got Maxime Crepeau. Make sure you don't get injured, bro. Come on. And then that's Ivan Angulo right there. So, it seems like they're having a really good time. Obviously, always there. Here's the picture from Harvey's birthday. right there, everybody, giving him the, the happy birthday drench right there. And this picture is like hilarious. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I know that he's doing that little T-Rex arms, you know what I'm saying? But he's he says, I need to have a word with the whole media team.
I gotta say, guys, like you gotta love how quickly Harvey's ingratiated himself to the group, right? It really seems like this dude like took the opportunity, that he, came in, got his contract, one of the fastest, I think, draft pick contracts we've had, like with us going out and signing them. Really went in there, is really like got himself a part of the group. Just loving what this guy is bringing so far. Just a really, really fun sort of atmosphere. Great picture there, celebrating his birthday and everything. Just a really awesome group event. To talk about Mexico a little bit more, though, Luis, if you don't mind, if I want to share with everyone, if you're not aware of what they do in Mexico. This is the third year, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, it's the third year. Poppy likes to bring the group down to Mexico because it's a great bonding experience for the guys, right? They're not distracted by families and girlfriends and all these other things, right? They're there to sort of be around each other, have a little bit of fun. But really play some football, right? They do 2-a-days, 3-a-days. They're practicing at night. They're practicing early in the morning. They're doing all kinds of different things while they're there. As John and I like to joke about today on Twitter, they're probably going to have their beach running videos and pics later on this week. So that's probably coming as well. But it's a really great opportunity for the guys to sort of connect and be around each other and things like that. But on that same level, not everybody made the trip. We've talked about Robin Jansson not making the trip a little bit earlier. Some good news first before we share some not as good news. Pasalic and, of course, Martin Ojeda and Reed Brown all made the trip. All three of those guys did not play in the scrimmage against Lexington, so some people might have been worried about what that looks like. Pasalic has got some really nice shots of him training and taking shots and things like that, so really awesome to see Pasalic back on the field and doing his thing. Pedro Leal and Isa Haruna did not make the trip down to Mexico. Based on what I've heard from sources, it's a visa issue. Their visas weren't worked out enough for them to be able to travel down to Mexico and work on all that. So that's the reason why you're not seeing them down in Mexico. So really unfortunate for both guys, but more specifically for Pedro Leal, who, from what I've heard so far, has been really solid in preseason. So that's kind of a bummer. I would have loved to see him on that trip. Wilder Cartagena, what a guy, man!
Yeah,
like,
man.
How can you not love this guy?
He's the light of the.
He's my favorite Peruvian right there.
No, he's the light of the party, man. He's the light of the party, and I do want to say Pedro Leal, man. I know Landon said right here that he's at Busch Gardens, riding some roller coasters, and it is a visa situation, and we're living in really weird times right now, so they got to follow the rules, and he cannot jeopardize it, but he has the talent to me. I'm surprised he's in OCB, but again, this may be a really quick OCB tenure for Pedro Leal. I think he'll be ready on the first team sooner than later. But yeah, I agree that Justin Ellis might be a little higher on the depth chart because he did the preseason. But in the end, it becomes the coach's decision. And with that, I do kind of want to bring out, what are some of the expectations we have for preseason, right? To me, at least, I'm going to start after the disappointing 2025 season. I think the Coach Pareja, has to have some pressure to deliver major improvements, especially when it comes to cohesion, especially when it comes to delivering, better results, especially maintaining a clean injury record. I know that he has new members in his staff that are going to help him out. He needs to make sure that these signings are integrated pretty quickly, and those talents from OCB also get more opportunity. So glad that I'm seeing Carvalho, that I'm seeing Gusky, that I'm seeing Harvey, that we're going to see Pedro Leal. But, we need to make bold. We need to play each individual game as it's a final. The first test is going to be against the Red Bulls, which is not an easy foe. And Orlando, again, preseason, I'm not worried with preseason because look, we could have a marvelous preseason, and then we had Wilder get injured and Sukata get injured, and then the 2025 season wasn't as what people expected. This may be a preseason that, you know, there's really not a lot of buzz or videos or footage or open door scrimmages and things like that, but it may be a successful one. You know what I mean? But again, it's up to also Oscar's staff to deliver and make it happen, and find that what is the word they need to put instead of believe, you know, like in, you know, Ted Lasso, needs to be consistency. You gotta be consistent. Like that to me, it's the most important word for them, and that's what I expect. I understand that, you know, Jansson got injured, and, you know, there's really not a lot to do, but we gotta be consistent. So, John, what are your expectations coming out from this preseason in Mexico?
I expect Duncan to score a lot of goals in preseason. That's I know that seems like really obvious, but I just think that he had a whole year out. Like, he came back a bit and then, you know, was out again. I just think he knows that, right, there's no Muriel, there's no Enrique. The door is wide open for him to take the opportunities, and I think you're just going to see a very hungry Duncan that's ready to, you know, show that, hey, I can score goals, and I'm going to be your guy for right now, probably the beginning of the season. The other one, we talked on it already, but I think Taifi is going to come out of this preseason looking like he's really pushing to maybe not be a starter, but be one of the first guys off the bench, with his flexibility at right back, left back, right wing, etc. So those are my kind of two guys that I think are going to come out of preseason looking like they're ready to go.
David.
And Wilder too. Wilder's cooking.
David, what are your expectations coming out of this preseason?
Yeah, so I think I think there's a couple things. I'll piggyback off your Poppy thing to start. I think what I want to see this preseason, and obviously we won't be able to see it, so we'll have to go through other things and whatnot. But I just want Poppy to experiment a little bit, like not just with the lineup, but experiment with the formation, experiment with putting guys in different spots and kind of seeing how that works. I know the scrimmage got a little bit of that, but I think that was more of necessity than that was, I actually want to try something and see how this goes. So I would just love to see Poppy be maybe a little bit more open to what that looks like and what we can do. Because if, for example, if the 4-2-3-1 doesn't work out, you know, to start the season, we got to be creative and figure something out. But if we want to talk about players and people I want to see, I want to give a shout out to our main guy, Harvey. Like, I know he hit the post a lot of times, he hit the crossbar a lot of times against Lexington, but like I said just a moment ago, he's really starting to bed in really well. The goals will come. I'm not worried about that. I think he's going to get production there. I would just love to see him break camp with getting some goals under his belt, getting some assists under his belt, making some really solid plays, looking really solid, because I'd love for him to be one of the first attackers off the bench. That would just make me feel really good about what we're doing. You know, hey, listen, Harvey, if you're watching, I'll own up to it. When we drafted you, I wasn't sure, but like once I did a deep dive and did my research and did my thing, I'll say my bad.
You've
My
learned
bad,
the
dude. You're
truth.
proving me wrong. So I
The
appreciate
truth, bro.
that.
You're saying that you now understand the truth. Is that what
I
you're
now
saying?
understand the truth, right? I get it. I am no longer on the lying side. I get the truth all the way. But the other guys I want to shout out, really a couple more of the young guys. Iago, I want to see him do well in preseason. He ended his season with Bahia really solidly, so I'd love to see him kind of continue and carry that into into Orlando. I don't think he's going to be a day one starter right now. I think Spicer's probably got that locked up, and God forbid, I hope it's not Angulo, but we know Poppy's going to find a way anyway. I think Spicer's got that locked up, but again, I'd love to see Iago as maybe the first winger off the bench. That would be really cool for him. I'd love to see him get involved in that. And then my guy, and these guys know he's my guy, Luis Otavio. I want to see him in preseason. I want to see him fit. I want to see him play on some of those lines. I know he's probably not going to get a ton of minutes because of how late he's not how late. He's going to get in at a decent time, but he's getting in a little bit later than everybody else. I'd love to see him sort of get fit, get in there, show a bit of what he can do and what his impact is. And the reason why I say he's my guy is because I just did so much scouting on this kid. I watched, at this point, I think I've watched like 40 of his games going back into like last season.
Oh,
I've seen
wow.
some of his academy games. I've broken down his stats a ton. So I wear that a little bit on myself with all of that and what have you. But really, as a whole, I just want to see the young guys really have a nice, solid preseason, be able to come in here and give us an impact. And then, like, really just be able to push, if it's not for a starter spot, which a lot of them don't have the opportunity for, at least be maybe the first name off the bench, or if an injury happens or we need to rotate, be the first guy who's going to be a rotational starter and get in there. Like my last guy, Reed Brown, right? He had a knock against Lexington. He couldn't play. Love to see him out there. I'd love to see him ball and be able to get some playing time in there. But I think, like John said too, Taifi has impressed so far this preseason. Love to see him make the jump too. Just all the young guys being able to kind of take it up at the next level and really have a nice thing. Any players you're looking for, Luis? Anyone that catches your eye or you want to see do well?
Well, definitely, Thiago, I would love to see Duncan start, kind of give the fans peace of mind that he's back, We'll love to see a new breakout star, either Taifi, which is putting a lot of the work, and I do want to give kudos to him, or even like I will love if it's you know, um, Harvey. We need another breakout star, and I want to see the double pivot back. You know what I mean? I think having that double pivot of Ojeda and Cartagena full on being detrimental for the whole entire backbone of the team. I think we didn't have the last year, and I mean we were leaking goals pretty bad, and I would like to see that again. And I think Oscar could make it happen. I'm sure. He loves to play with two double pivots. With two double pivots. Sorry, and I think it's realistically also Justin Ellis. I would love to see Justin Ellis score a couple of goals. And with that, I do want to kind of segue into our last topic of the evening, which would be, there's a lot of rumors. CYLE LARIN is currently on loan at Feyenoord from Mallorca, and is indeed right now the subject of a lot of transfer rumors this January window. His loan spell is set to be cut short due to limited play time. He's only appeared 14 games since joining in September 2025, struggling for minutes. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that LARIN is expected a return to Mallorca before heading out to another loan or permanent move. There's 4 clubs apparently in the MLS showing interest in signing him. Also, I believe there's an MX team as well. He wants to push for a move because he wants to go to the World Cup in 2026. So the MLS the return to the MLS is a very realistic possibility, given his history in the league with Orlando City. He broke out, with us in 2015, 43 goals in 87 games. First MLS Super Draft pick for Orlando before moving to Europe. And there's been a lot of buzz also coming from Toronto. That a lot of the Toronto FC people are trying to push for him after, Josh Sargent. The deal stalled, which I honestly will prefer CYLE LARIN over Josh Sargent. I don't like Josh Sargent whatsoever as a striker. He's the most boring striker in the world. He just looks like you put some glasses on this guy. He could definitely be a working a library. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy he's just so boring. But either way, CF Montreal is another of the teams that it's kind of like itching and scratching to see if maybe they can get a piece of LARIN. And also, there's been buzz around the fan base mainly about a potential homecoming to Orlando. No deals definitely are confirmed or even buzzed about yet. But I think with the familiarity that he has with MLS, it just fits him as a striker. Also, it fits for Orlando City. We need a striker. So a proven goal scorer, and he's already done it here. My question for you, John, is would you take him back? And do you feel like Oscar at 30, he could work under Oscar's system? I know that we saw him with Inchi. We saw him with different, managers, Jason Christ. I always wanted to say Jesus Christ because every time, those were dark days. I've been seeing Jesus Christ a lot, but either way, what are your thoughts of CYLE LARIN, man? Would you take him?
I mean, I would take him back. Yeah, I think that his record in MLS, it was extremely good a long time ago, and yeah, he may have been a younger CYLE LARIN, but I feel like as a striker, you're only going to grow in intelligence. He has, he's been on a bit of a loan stint, and he's in and out, and he's not scoring goals like he once was before. But I think in MLS, he could definitely score goals. And if you look at that team that he used to do it with, that was not a good team, right? Like, I honestly felt like he was one of our only really quality players in that team, and he used to do a lot of it on 100%. His own. So I think that he has that ability to score goals on his own, but he also, if you feed him the ball, he'll take chances. So I think if we are and again, he would be available now, right? So even if we just went on a 6-month loan and then said, we'll potentially sign you in the summer on a permanent, if it works out, right? We don't have to commit to that. I think it could be a great stopgap until the summer. And if he kills it, then you give him the bag. And if he doesn't, then you say, okay, you can go shop yourself for the World Cup or after the World Cup or whatever. I think the key thing is he knows that he needs minutes, right? And where is he guaranteed minutes on a DP salary in, MLS, coming back to Orlando, a place he knows? I think he would be comfortable and be able to score goals and know he's going to play. And that's really what he wants for the next 6 months. So I think from his perspective, unless he really doesn't want to come back to Orlando because of other reasons that I'm sure David will go into. Yeah, it just makes sense for me. Like, it's a place he knows, a league he knows he can score in, and he's more mature and with a better team. You'd think it would work out. David, I know you got a different opinion to me. So what do you think about CYLE?
I mean, six months, I think it's a great idea, John, but go ahead, David.
I'm not committing to a major signing here with that.
I was going to say, I think if we were looking at a 6-month loan and then kind of seeing what he does first, I'm a little bit more agreeable to that. Because again, the risk is really gone. Because if he doesn't work out in 6 months, you just say, hey, thanks, but we're going to go in a different direction. I'm one of those fans that remembers the LARIN saga pretty well. I'm sure there are other fans that remember it too, but I'm not going to hate the guy for getting the DUI and driving on the wrong side of the road and doing all those
the only player to
ever
drive the wrong way up Orange Avenue.
Yes. So I'm not gonna necessarily hit him over the head. The thing that gets me a little bit, and again, this was years ago, so I don't want to hang it on the kid too much, but the way he left was not graceful and it wasn't tactful. And I understand the front office back in those days maybe wasn't the best front office for various different reasons, but going across the pond and not reporting to not doing your off-season training and then going to another club and wearing their kit and doing the physical and showing pictures with all the little sensors on you and all that kind of stuff is a bad look. And if anything, it's a slap in the face to the fans who had been supporting you since you were drafted, which again, I've been following Orlando City since they made the jump to MLS. It was a slap in the face. Now listen, I'm an adult. I'm however many years removed from that at this point now. Was it been 10 or whatever at this point? He's more of an adult now. He's 10 plus years removed. So let's let bygones be bygones. I can drop all of that. We've probably matured at this point. The real big thing that worries me, and I know John kind of touched on this a little bit, is sure, he's been loaned to a bunch of different places and he's bounced around a lot. The production hasn't been there. And I don't know if it's because he's been inconsistent with the club he's been at, and maybe it is. But if I'm going to go and bring in a striker, I want the production to be there, right? I want to make sure he's going to be able to go banging goals. Now, don't get me wrong. He's going to be motivated, right? The World Cup is right around the corner. He wants to make that squad number one. But secondly, I'm sure he would love to start next to Jonathan David instead of coming off the bench for Jonathan David, right? And so what I would say is, I think the best strategy is sort of the first one that John laid out. Bring him in on a 6-month loan if he's willing to be loaned out again, and his parent club is willing to loan him out as well. Bring him in on a 6-month loan, sell it to him as like, hey, Kyle, you've been here before, you understand the organization, but we've leveled up. We're going to have all these pieces around you. We're going to have this great structure. Oh, yeah, did you know about Inter&Co? This place is a fortress. You're going to love it there. Most of the fans are going to love that you're coming back, and once you start banging in goals, all the fans are going to love that you're coming back. Come back over here. We'll get you ready for the World Cup. And then when we get to the World Cup, we'll have a conversation after the World Cup to see where you're at, to see what we're going to do, whether we make this permanent, whether we, send you back to your parent club, whatever that looks like, and kind of see what that looks like. I think that's the best solution if you're going to go out for CYLE LARIN. The problem with all of that is Montreal or Toronto will throw a bag at this guy, and they won't think twice about it. And so I think they'll offer him to his parent club, yeah, we'll buy him for X amount of million. We don't care. And they'll drop it, right? Because they'll want to do that. Now, unless somehow they make it work with Sargent, because I know Toronto really wants Josh Sargent, and Josh Sargent wants that move. So maybe they figure that out, and maybe it goes back to that or whatever. But Montreal will do it. Montreal is always looking for, no offense to the Montreal fans, but they're looking for scraps normally. So they're out there looking for scraps. They're looking for people to come out here and do this. So I think it really just depends on what it looks like. Is Orlando willing to make the jump and purchase him and take the risk? Or are they more so willing to do the loan and kind of see where it goes? I'd love to lean loan, but if Mallorca wants to sell him and make some money off him, then it probably isn't a loan, right? It's probably something more than that. I see the last time he got sold was for 7.5 million euros. So maybe we can, if we were going to buy him, maybe it's for something like 5 million euros, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around that ballpark. I'm not entirely sure. Depends on what that looks like, but I know John and I went back and forth on our group chat a little bit about Larin and what that looks like. I'm not as out on him, I think, as I was when I initially heard the news. I just think more so there are other teams that might be able to offer us a bit more than what we might come out and offer, if that makes sense. Like, I think the Canadian teams kind of will have their way to get him in. Depending on who the Liga MX team is, Luis, I don't know who it was or if it was reported who it was, but depending on the Liga MX team, they're playing the season right now. So, like, he would get in and start playing games right now if he were to, like, go and do that. So he would get an extra month of games in if he wanted to and sort of do that. So it really just depends on what that looks like.
So when it comes to his goals, like, the best season he's ever had was with Orlando City on 2015. I mean, he had 17 goals, in 27 games, Rookie of the Year. Then 2016, 14 goals. I remember the reason why I renewed my season pass was because of CYLE LARIN. That's the only reason. He was the only guy. He was the only guy scoring. 2015, 2016, 2017. He was the only guy scoring. And then he went to Besiktas, and he left to Besiktas, and he went there. Yes, I didn't like the way he left as a fan, as an STM, as a Society 21, 100%. But I was like laughing like Nelson from The Simpsons. I was just like, four goals all year. You know what I mean? And then, and you're going to Turkey, so you're going to eat pita bread like crazy, bro. And then he went to Belgium, and then he sucked too. I'm sorry, Kyle. I mean, I think he scored like 6 or 7 goals in some small team, salted with Graham or whatever. And then he went back to Besiktas, and then he has his second most successful season ever. So the first most successful season for him was MLS 2015, and his second one is 2020-2021 season during COVID. 38 games, 19 goals, which that made him sign for Club Brugge or Club Brugge.
Bruges, yeah.
So he went there, and then he scored 1 goal, man, in his first year, and then he was loaned to Valladolid, and then he was loaned to Mallorca. He was signed by Mallorca. And after that, it was just like 3 goals here, 7 goals there, 8 goals there, 3 goals here, 3 goals here. So obviously, I think Orlando could have a leverage in the negotiations if they do want to go for him. And I think offering something that John is saying, hey man, we're We're gonna talk to your club to loan you here, loan to about 6 months, right? We're gonna also get you. We're gonna get you a new DMV, booklet. So maybe if you want to take your driving lessons again, we could.
Can we just get him a driver so he doesn't run into that situation? Like, can
Right.
Orlando just splash for that? That way we're good. We don't have to worry about it.
That was young out of college, Kyle. This is return from Europe.
Yeah, I know, right?
Kyle, right?
But he deserves a driver now. Just let somebody drive him around Orlando,
But
Yeah.
I think it comes, the reason why I feel a little keen into this signing, because look, it has everything you could ask for to sell a good story. Number one, nostalgia. You're bringing probably people back that want to see Larin, like me, for example. Then also, you bring a guy who needs a fire lit up so he can go to the World Cup. So this dude's gonna be wanting to bust his ass at the gym, eat right, do the right thing, all these months so he can go to the World Cup. So whoever team signs him, he's going to be like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. You're going to get a yes, sir, Larin, which it kind of reminds you of 2020, 2019 season Larin and 2015 Larin, which obedient Larin, listening to advice Larin, I like that Larin. You know what I mean? That's when Larin could be a little bit more productive. And then, like John said, you cut your losses, because if it's a loan and let's say he scores 6 goals, one goal a month, and then you have somebody like Justin Ellis with 7 or 8 goals. Like, obviously you're saying, hey, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out, right? And then you cut your losses, then you're good to go. It's only for 6 months. I think that's a good idea. Now, paying $5 million on the go DP contract, I don't think Orlando City is going to do that. I don't think Orlando City is going to do that.
Well, and Luis, we got to be careful with homecomings, because Dom Dwyer's was a bit of a mixed homecoming.
Oh no, but we were dumb. We paid $14 million, bro.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but Dom
we
Dwyer's
a lot of money for that.
Was interesting. So that's the only thing I want to be like, let's be careful. Yeah. But
even like a permanent deal, $5 million, I would be skeptical. Like,
yeah,
I think that the situation here is the World Cup is coming. He needs somewhere to go on loan. Then we are a really good option. But I also agree with David that the Canadian teams, like, I think if Toronto don't get Sargent, then they're going to be straight in for Larin, and they will pay money.
Yeah, I think Orlando paid for Dom Dwyer like about $1.6 billion. And I mean, for that was a lot of money back then. I mean, I thought that was too much to pay for Dom Dwyer at that time. Coming from SKC. So I agree with you. It was a complete bust. It wasn't the same Dom Dwyer that was hungry and had a fire in his eyes in USL. It wasn't that Dom Dwyer. We weren't getting that Dom Dwyer. Now, I think with Larin is a little different, because Larin wants to go to the World Cup. In order for him to go to the World Cup, David and John, he needs to score goals. So he has to score goals. And we can capitalize on that. I mean, we definitely have a better team, like John was saying. Like, I wouldn't be opposed if it's a deal that Orlando's going to compromise his DP slot for Kyle Larin. You know what I mean? I think if it would be a good segue to getting a bigger name down the road, after the World Cup, I don't know. I think it'll probably work. And let's read some comments real quick. It says here, the Nerdyverse. Hey guys, I started an Orlando City Twitter account, and it tips for growth. Oh man, I mean, just cover the team, and just give info, man. Just
get into conversations with other fans. Yeah. Look at the hashtags that Orlando uses: Vamos Orlando, OCSC, Orlando City. Those are all hashtags you can kind of look at and follow. But just kind of have your own voice, man. That's all you need to do to sort of grow your tip. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to add? I know that we kind of were going to touch about Facu signing with Austin. So if you guys want to talk about that, Facu just signed with Austin. If you ask me on a personal level, I'm not worried. Like, I think Pasalic and Ojeda's, even though we didn't win anything, and neither did he in Brazil. I mean, he did kind of, but he wasn't really like their best player. He was considered to be a bust in Brazil. He's coming back to kind of like a league that kind of knows him, and he's able to thrive. I wish him nothing but the best, but I think we're okay with Pasalic and with Ojeda. You know what I mean? I think I'm ready to move on. What are your thoughts?
I mean, easiest thing for me is money, man. Like we just ended up getting some extra money for it. I know Brazilian fans said no, they don't get money because we didn't make a profit. It's not how the deal was written, guys. Sorry about that, but we were getting a cut regardless of what the sell-on was. So we make a little bit over $1 million. So can't hate any of that, to be honest with you. I wish him luck. Not against us, of course, but hopefully he can figure it out. And yeah, that's kind of all I got for him, to be fair.
It's just gonna be weird having Cartagena mark Facu. You imagine that? They're good friends, dude. Like, you imagine, like.
Well, we're not scheduled to play them at all this season unless we play them in one of the competitions. So I don't know. Depends on how that plays out. Maybe MLS Cup. I don't know.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I mean, this is like Orlando City players just popping up all over the place. You got, I feel like it's a testament to our players that other teams in the league like want to sign them. A lot of guys you see that get let go by like MLS players like don't always get picked up, but we're seeing so many of our ex players around like Houston and Montreal, and now with Facu in Austin. Rafa Santos has moved again from Colorado. Now he's gone to St. Louis. So, I think it's great, but I think there's a reason we let all these guys go. And even with Facu, like I'd rather have Marco Pasalic. No offense to Facu.
I'll be honest with you. Just to kind of talk about, to give something for David. I just found out James Rodriguez is about to sign with a Colombian team, so you don't have to worry about.
Those rumors can die. Thank the Lord, because that was getting ridiculous.
Tom has to like announce to the world. There's no rumors about James because everybody's just asking him. Like, it's crazy.
And,
so let me ask this, because I think we missed this comment earlier, but I think Frankie was asking a pretty decent question here. He was asking earlier, without a mythical DP signing, how do you all feel about this roster build compared to last season's? Better, worse, or similar? I think that's an interesting question to kind of think about.
It's right now, I feel there's a lot of upside, but we haven't seen it. And I don't know, and that's an MLS thing. I feel like, the whole, closed door scrimmages and only certain people going to the scrimmages. Inter Miami just went to Peru to do this first preseason game and was clobbered by the fourth Peruvian team in the league, in the Peruvian league, right? Beat the MLS.
Luis, you know what that means. What we have to do, right? We have to sign Guerrero to like a 3-game contract. Right. Whenever we play Miami, we'll bring him in so we can play Miami, and then we can send him back to Lima.
Yeah, obviously, just imagine the difference, right? So they're doing their preseason on TV, and they're on TV, and they're sucking. We are on closed door. There's really not a lot of information that you can fish and see. We just have the expectation for these players. Now, there's more, I guess they're working on depth right now, defensive depth. They're a little bit focusing more on that. I'm a little concerned about the attack depth, just like I think David and John, and how that's going to pan out, because we haven't seen really Iago. We haven't, I know we saw Harvey but Duncan's still kind of coming up. So
Oh, God, real quick, it looks like Bogert just dropped a bomb right now.
what
It says,
happened?
breaking, Villarreal has agreed to deal to sign U.S. MNT right back Alex Freeman from Orlando City per sources. The deal is north of $4 million plus around a $3 million in add-ons plus a sell-on clause. Freeman was set to leave for free when his contract expired. So breaking news on Alex Freeman, guys. There's the deal for Alex Freeman. That is a
So-
lot of money
Bogart
considering...
bomb.
Yeah, considering how much was left, that is a decent amount of money. So just to recap, it's a fee worth north of $4 million plus another $3 million in add-ons, so potentially $7 million there. And they retain a sell-on clause, so that could be anywhere from 15 to 20%. That is a solid deal right there.
So 4 million, 3 million in add-ons for the player. So those are metrics the player is gonna have to meet. I don't think that's for Orlando. And then we get a sell-on clause. So technically, yeah. So 4 million plus a sell-on. Well, I mean, I wish him the best.
I mean, this tracks exactly what we expected, right?
Yeah,
It's we're
is.
gonna sell
I mean,
it for
this is
money. If it happens,
this is more money than I
then
thought. I'm shocked by the number. I'm surprised we got that much, to be honest.
is somebody will pay for him. You know, like that's what we're saying is now he's getting that bag.
Yeah, he's gonna get that back for all those that whole add-ons thing. You know. Now the question is now, guys. Now that Alex Freeman, it's literally gone. Dusan?
Well, so wait a minute. Let's address this real quick. Frankie's saying it's not enough. We had no leverage. We talked about that earlier in the show.
Yeah, we have nothing to do.
Like the leverage was.
We would have got that
gone,
amount even in the summer, probably.
Yeah,
probably less.
And I think Orlando City. I mean, the extra. I bet the incentives are not hard to reach. I think that's part of the point of what the incentives are. Is I imagine that they're probably easier incentives, even if it's not all of the incentives that he reaches. I bet some of those are easier, and that it probably ends up being 5 or 6 million easily, and then maybe the 7 is the stretch if he plays well for Villarreal. It doesn't look like there's a loan back either. I know there was. I think there was a question about that.
On that
John,
with Tom, I have it here. Yeah, I'll bring it up. He's saying,
yeah,
it's
can you
7 million.
The athletic one. Put the athletic one.
So he's saying it's 7 million with a sell-on clause, right? Also, very key point here is that he's saying that Freeman is happy that his boyhood club is getting a fee and not on a free transfer.
So it's 7 then.
Which backs up what I've heard about Alex. Is
me as well.
He wanted to make sure that the club get paid like we all want. So it's great. I mean, look, he was always going, and now we're gonna be able to plan for that. We still got till March to find another right back. We got, like we said, Taifi could blow up into that position, and we got a safe situation then, right? Maybe Dusan. We're gonna have to potentially look for a right back. Maybe this means that Yearwood gets his signing, but this is good news. I know it's maybe sooner than people would like in this window, but this is good news. This is what was inevitable, really, from when Alex is not going to sign a new contract. This is one of the best situations we can get out of it.
You have to be happy for the guy, number one. You have to be happy because the club signed this kid for nothing. And the club, in a way, he fought for the club to make some cash out of this because he had the leverage to walk on a free if he wanted to. So, I mean, and again,
that's big respect to Alex for that, because we have talked about that a lot on the pod, and it's great that he acknowledges us that he doesn't want to put us in that situation. So that's awesome.
Now, this is great for American soccer. That's another thing. This is great for American soccer in a position that we've had a lot of busts. And I consider Serginho Dest a bust. Okay? Yes, I'm saying it right now live. I think he's 10 times better as a right back than Serginho Dest. Good, he's going to be now seen in La Liga, and we're going to see him on the weekends. And hopefully he does so great there. You know, a Real Madrid or a Barcelona.
Luis, more than more than anything, though, I just hope he gets the playing time he needs, number one, and he can keep the level, right? It seems like Orlando has helped keep him fit because he looked pretty fit in the scrimmage against Lexington. In the preseason scrimmage videos we've seen that the club's put out, he looks fit, he looks good. So hopefully he can go into Villarreal and get some playing time. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment there, but that's really the biggest thing for him that I hope he's able to still do. Obviously, we want to see him on the World Cup roster. The only way he becomes a lock on that roster is he's got to continue to play. So I really hope that he gets that opportunity and is able to do that. But the bigger thing on the flip side of it is Orlando's got work to do now. Like, you got to make sure you have the right back. So Zachariah Taifi, we're picking up the phone because I think your number might be called sooner than maybe you were expecting. And listen, he's looked good so far, so maybe he's good to go and could do that, and he's going to have an entire preseason now to kind of get ready. Also, Jalen Yearwood, I think you might have just made the roster, depending on how that works. As long as you have a solid rest of your preseason, you probably just made the roster with all that. So now the fit's different, right? Luis, we got to talk about the fit and consistency. Luis's word of the preseason, right? Consistency. We've lost a piece of the consistency now. So what do we do to fill that sort of stuff? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how this goes.
I don't think it changes. It changes much. On the level of what it's expected for these coaching staff and what's expected for these players. I don't think it should, because they knew this was going to happen eventually. I mean, it was bound to happen. So,
sure.
And I know a lot of people are saying, I will hope that Freeman will win as an MLS. Of course, we all wanted that, but this kid's guys, this kid's healthier than what's his name who played in Bundesliga. He's healthier than Alphonso Davies. This kid's a freaking build like a running back, bro. I mean, this kid's like he's pure muscle, man. You know what I mean? Like, he has a huge ceiling. So that's why Villarreal has been the past year, John. I think they've been trying to shove it into Orlando's throat. Hey, we want him. They finally opened the wallet and they got it. They had a successful La Liga last year, so I think they were in the top 5. So he's not going to a scrap team. He's not going to a bottom feeder team. He's going to a team that's going to compete. So
he just needs to play. That's my biggest thing. He's got to play.
Good for the kid,
if it was another player, I would question this move before the World Cup. I would be like, you're risking a lot, but Alex he's a very unique player. Like, he's technically and physically
gifted,
very impressive for his age. Like, he's on lists around the world as a potential right back that every club has got. Like, I would be shocked if clubs like Chelsea and Real Madrid don't have him on the list somewhere, right? Maybe they're like, hey, not for now, but for somewhere. And Villarreal is the stepping stone club. And that's exactly what it is. He's going to go to Villarreal, maybe do a couple of seasons.
It could be a quick turn, though, because if he balls out at the World Cup, let's say, and then one of the big clubs comes calling Villarreal might flip them right then and there, and
that could even happen
more money
6 months in, and they'll say, right, if you're Real Madrid and you're like, I really want a great, amazing right back,
bro.
I'm just saying, once you're in Europe, you're in the window.
Go to
Barca,
go to
bag at you. But I think it's a good move for him. It's the right kind of club. He's gonna play, and we get paid. And like I said before, I think it just kudos to him, because as much as we complain about the idea of him leaving on a free, like, he could do that, and it doesn't really matter for him, right? So the fact that he cares enough that he wants Orlando to get paid, I think says a lot about the kind of guy that he is.
Kudos to his family as well, because I think they are the reason why he's so level-headed for such a young age. I mean, trust me, I cover other leagues, and you would see we have some youth players that think they're like Messi, and they haven't even won nothing in their careers. But but this kid is so level-headed, so he has such humility, a work ethic like no other. I'm so happy for him. This is great for U.S. soccer. So as an American, you guys feel proud, because this is huge. I mean, again,
I feel bad we won't send him off though. That's gonna stink. I wish we could give him,
Yeah.
a send-off game or something.
I might have seen his last minutes.
You may have, yeah.
at
Bro,
That's a
the
good, yeah, that's a good
bro,
point.
John, you're gonna
I
have
didn't
to
know
cherish
him. I was
that.
watching it, but I
Hey,
should have.
Alex, if you happen to watch LPO or any of the Orlando City players
Yeah.
that can get this to Alex, I think from all of us, we want to say, congratulations, of course. Best of luck in your new adventures and everything. And thank you for playing from the club, from the academy level, all the way to OCB, all the way to the first
Amazing,
team.
dude.
Just a really great representation of the badge and what we play for and what we expect our players to play for. Just a really, really likable and just awesome guy all around and super athletic. And I know sky's the limit for you, dude. So best of luck, of course, over in Villarreal. And can't wait to see you at the World Cup because I know we're going to see you there. It's going to be a really exciting thing for sure. Oh man, my heart is pumping for this guy.
Maybe the U.S. men's national team stands will finally believe in you now, Alex. You're not playing in MLS. Apparently, that means you could be good. Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean it's gonna be fantastic seeing them at the World Cup. It's gonna be great to see him in La Liga representing a good club like Villarreal. Again, Villarreal is a team that has been doing pretty good the past few seasons. I mean, not getting to the promised land, but definitely fighting in the top 5 in the Spanish league. So, if you have any pictures, autographs, jerseys, signed jerseys, that's gonna skyrocket in the next year. So make sure you're holding on to them. Don't wear them. Frame them or something, and then eventually they'll go up fast because, I mean, this kid's probably gonna make it pretty big at Alphonso Davies level. I mean, Alphonso Davies went from Vancouver to Bayern Munich to be started in Bayern Munich and a star worldwide. This kid has the same potential or even more.
And
less injury prone.
We are selling players for money right now. Like I was
Exactly.
look at Enrique, the potential Alex Freeman. Like I know it's not as much for the likes of like Schlegel but before Orlando City would just let guys go because they weren't good. Now we're actually selling players, and that's going to help buying players, right? Look how much we spent on U22s. I think this is only a good thing to mean that we're going to potentially go out and spend more money this window.
Yeah, and that gives validity to the pipeline of the academy. So if you are Segura from MLS Next Pro that's scoring goals like back-to-back, if you're Bernardo Rain, if you're Tahir Brown, if you're Reed Brown, if you are
even the guys we just brought over, like Nacho Gomez, Pedro Leal, like all these guys, this just proves that the club does right by you and sells you when it's time for that to happen, right?
Exactly.
So it's a bigger
selling
selling
point. Justin Ellis.
Right. They're going to believe, right. It gives validity on how the club is acting in moments in which they have to decide your future and do the best for you. And also it's seeing how a player has really like honored the badge and the colors. And even though he could have walked on the free and not give it a 0 because of the club's mistakes, let's be completely honest, of not being proactive, he's like, no, I want my club that gave me the opportunity to get something, and he fought for it. And so that tells you those are the type of players we're trying to build here, and believe the system, the pipeline of the system, believe in it. And I think for kids like Segura, like every single kid in the academy, in Osceola Seminole schools, all of that.
Even the recent homegrown guys, Caraballo, Taifi, Tahir Reed Brown, like all those guys, like this could be you next. You have a great season, you ball out, you make your national team, you do these things. Orlando's going to do right by you. If you want to go to Europe, you want to go somewhere else, the club is showing you that they're doing it. So just a really great thing. And I just love the line so much that, Freeman's happy his boyhood club gets a fee as well, and it's not a free transfer. I mean, that's just right from the heart there. You really got to appreciate that from him, because he could have walked, like, honestly, and everyone said it and everything. Like Alonso was telling us it's not going to happen. He's going to walk. He's going to go do this and these kind of things. We just always had a feeling, and we always heard that he wanted to do right by the club. and he's doing right by the club here. It's just great.
I love
Awesome
that we
stuff
talked
there.
about this earlier on the pod, and that actually happened like right later in the pod. So there you go.
Guys, this is why you
Hey,
watch LPO.
maybe they heard us.
Yeah,
Maybe they're like, hey,
Ricardo was like,
Yeah.
"Wait, let me just throw you guys."
hey,
some
let me
money."
just give it. Hey, let me just give it to Bogart, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah. Gotta love Tommy Scoops. Gotta love Tommy Scoops.
I know. We're gonna
Yeah.
have him here soon.
And
That'd be
also,
cool.
Ricardo, if you're watching, thanks. We appreciate the the
The
extra
segue.
stuff there.
Hey,
You
now
helped
we
us
should
out
maybe
with that.
postpone the Pride Pod. I'm just joking. The Alex Freeman versus Vini Jr. says the Nerdyverse. Exporting players to the league, not bad. There you go, Mr. Rubin. There's
True.
hope, Mr. Rubin.
True.
Mr. Rubin, come on, man. My son got a pick with him last home game. Thank goodness. There
Awesome
you go,
for your
Donnie.
son.
Man,
That's awesome.
Frame that, sir. Frame that.
Love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Booty said, look at that nickname. Come on, man. Booty said 1, 2, 3. Absolutely. Thank you. And run well and free forever. 100%, Mr. Booty.
Absolutely.
Guilla Carlos, Alex reminds me of a better Moutinho. Oh man, no, bro. I'm sorry, but Moutinho, bro, Moutinho
Oh,
is not
boy.
even his pinky.
They're not in the
toe
same
nick.
league.
He
He's
didn't do
not
the
even-
back stretches. He needed the back stretches. That's what he needed in there.
No way, man. Moutinho gave you 5 good games and injured like 4 games. Then
Hey,
back
he was really solid those 5 games. I'm just
Come
saying,
on,
he was
man.
really solid those 5 games.
This is 7 million is fair, but put that in the Lewandowski fund. Oh, come on. I don't know. Hey, maybe.
Frankie, I think we're more in the Lukaku camp, but that's fine. We'll figure out one of the ways
I'll
to
take
make it
either.
work.
I'm not fussy.
One of the most amazing 1-year come ups of all time. I know, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is the thing.
Absolutely.
It's like, I remember when I first went to cover OCB. I mean, he's always been a fan of our content, but I remember when he
We
was
had him. We did an interview with him like this time last year. What was it, like November 23 or something? I did.
No, it was in 2024.
24, yeah.
Yeah. So he told you, John, he was ready to break out. He was ready to start playing with the first team, and he foreshadowed his whole thing. I mean, that's the reason he was so sure this was going to happen. I just wish the club would have, kind of been a little bit more proactive. But things happen for a reason. In the end, I think this works for all, and it's fantastic. I think I'm happy for him. I can only be happy for him and happy for U.S. soccer, because this is only gonna it's validating the MLS and the MLS system. I'm sorry, but it is true. But anyways, we're gonna be jumping into the Pride Pod very soon in the next 4 minutes. I wanted to thank you, David, and you, John, for joining, as well as every single one of you, 120 people live. Thank you, guys. I wish Alex the best as well, and in Villarreal. Hopefully, he's speaking a lot of Espanol, right? and hopefully, we can have him with a pod again. Now as a Villarreal player, it'd be crazy. Maybe busting out some Spanish. John, any last words?
No, I want to say thank you to anybody who watched any of my John Rollins TV content. I launched a channel last week and did a lot of videos. So if you've not done so, go over there. You can check out me and Luis. We rank all of the MLS logos. It's just a bit of fun. So if you haven't watched that, you can go check that out. And yeah, look up for more MLS and NWSL content coming on my personal channel in the future.
David, anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's checking out the site as of late. We got some really nice views on the preseason scrimmage kind of breakdown, so awesome stuff there. I have an article coming about Dusan. I'm hoping to get out tomorrow or the next day, so if you're interested in sort of what he looks like, what he can provide, things like that, I can certainly go ahead and offer that to you. Also, on the website, I also made updates to our team LPO, where all of us, as well as our wonderful graphic creator Oz, are all listed there. You can find all of our social medias tagged there, our YouTube, social media, all that kind of stuff. All that is tagged there. So if you need to find links for anything and you can't find it on our other social media, you can check it out over there. It's at a really great place there. Just really excited for the season. Awesome way for us to end the show with just some great news. And it's going to be interesting to see how Orlando City builds from here. But thankfully, we have a good chunk of the preseason still left. So, or it's not super late in the preseason. We got time to try to figure this out and build. So I'm excited for that.
Right here, we are Team LPO. We have all our team right here. If you want to join our team, there's a button right there as well. And here's our website, LarinProOrlando.com. Make sure you check it out. You know, check out our website, all of our articles that David and I will be putting out, and all the past articles that we have as well on our socials. So, anyways, I wanted to thank you for all your support. We also have John Rollins TV. Make sure you check that out too. A lot of good content.
Yeah,
So we have right there our last episode there that we had with doing the logos. I know that we're going to be doing one for the jerseys too, John, right? So
Oh yeah, we're gonna have David join us for that. We're gonna do a
we'll
jersey
probably
ranking
put
video.
David
I
on.
love doing those.
Yeah, so we're probably going to be doing one of them for the jersey. So it's going to be fun. A lot of fun. And John Rollins TV, make sure you follow it. And again, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, LP_podcast. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Breaking news, Alex Freeman is leaving Orlando City. If you have missed the episode, rewind it. We've talked about 30 minutes about it just now. The news broke out while we were live. So, and again, we'll see you at the Pride Pond in just a few minutes. Have a wonderful day. And vamos, Orlando. Have a wonderful day.
Vamos.
Thank you.